Welcome everybody to another at-home table read. Tonight we are tackling honestly one of my favorite Frank Oz films, the British comedy Death at a Funeral. We're going to jump right in with our cast tonight on action description, and as Peter, we have George. There he is. As Daniel, we have Erik. As Victor, along with Robert, we have Anne. As Jane, along with Justin, we have Carina. Perfect. As Howard, Martha, we have Angi. I'm going to be playing the role of Simon, along with a Reverend. And as Sandra, Troy, and Uncle Alfie, we've got Lynne. Right. Well, George, take us away.
All right. Death at a Funeral by Dean Craig. Cut to black. Exterior front porch of house, day. Medium close-up of Daniel, 30s, dressed in a black suit and black tie. An attractive man, but looking worse for wear with grief. He looks straight ahead with a somber expression. As off camera, we hear the sounds of car doors opening and closing, footsteps on gravel, car doors being unlatched and opened. Camera cuts to over Daniel's shoulder onto 4 Undertakers, a few feet in front of him, pulling a coffin out of a hearse. We're still behind Daniel as we see him turn and indicate the front entrance behind him.
Just through there, straight ahead, then to the left.
The 4 men cross camera left to right, carrying the coffin past Daniel into the house. Daniel turns to his own medium close-up and stands there looking past camera at the coffin moving away from him. Interior living room, day. The living room has been prepared for the funeral service with several rows of chairs laid out. The 4 Undertakers enter and lay the coffin on a raised platform. Daniel has followed them into the room.
Would you like to,
Daniel nods his assent and the Undertaker begins to open the coffin for Daniel to take a look. There's a dramatic moment as Daniel moves to the coffin and braces himself for what he's about to see. The coffin opens and Daniel stares long and hard at the body before finally speaking.
Who's this?
Pardon me?
That's not my father.
The Undertaker peers into the coffin.
Oh, shit. We've taken the wrong one.
The other Undertakers look dreadfully embarrassed. They close the coffin and lift it off the platform.
Really sorry about that, sir. We'll go back and get him.
The Undertakers pick up the coffin and shuffle off awkwardly. Daniel stares after them, absolutely incredulous.
Jesus.
Exterior large house, day, extreme wide shot. Music. The Undertakers emerge from the front door and put the coffin back in the hearse. They close the doors and get in the car, start the engine, and with the caterers looking on, spray gravel as they take off a bit too fast for a hearse. Title card, Death at a Funeral. Interior bedroom, day. Music ends somewhere in the beginning of this scene. Daniel enters the bedroom. His wife, Jane, also 30s, attractive in a homey way, is busy getting herself dressed in a black outfit. Daniel stands looking dumbfounded.
They brought the wrong coffin. Can you believe that?
You're joking.
It's a good job I checked. Otherwise, we'd have been having a service for some random member to the public. I mean, that what kind of Mickey Mouse business are these people running?
It's okay.
There's just so much to worry about, you know? I mean, Mom's in state. Robert's clearly not going to do anything to help, assuming he gets here at all. Plus, his eulogy is just awful.
Oh, come on, Daniel. I'm sure it's not awful.
Yes, it is. They're all going to be thinking, why isn't Robert doing the eulogy? He's such a great writer. Maybe I'd just let him do it.
Why should he? He hasn't been in the country. Besides, you're every bit as good as a writer as your brother, if not better.
Yeah, a great writer who hasn't finished a single piece of work.
It is finished. You just need someone to read it. Oh, shit. Things will be okay, Daniel. We'll get the funeral over with. Then we can focus on moving out and starting our lives properly.
Daniel looks a little awkward and gets up and heads to the connecting bathroom.
You did call them, didn't you?
Silence from Daniel in the next room.
Daniel, you did put the down payment on the house.
Oh, what do you want me to do? I've had everything going on.
I understand that, Daniel, but if you don't put the deposit down, we'll end up losing it.
I know, so did I promise?
Jane looks frustrated. Exterior motorway, day, wide shot. Car traveling up the motorway. Interior Howard's car, moving, day. Howard, short, stout, and somewhat unfortunate looking, with the appearance of someone who carries the worries of the world on his shoulders, is driving. His friend Justin, by contrast, tall, good-looking, with a laid-back, carefree demeanor, rides in the passenger seat. Both are about 30 years old and wearing funeral attire, although Howard's neurotic, bespectacled appearance contrasts with Justin's long-haired, wealthy musician look.
I hate funerals, don't you?
No
So
response.
depressing. Death and everything. Don't you think? Justin?
No response.
Justin.
They're all right.
All right? How can you possibly think they're all right? I don't know why you're even making me come to the funeral. Why did you even meet Daniel's father?
No.
Justin lights a cigarette.
Can you at least open the window if you're gonna smoke?
Justin opens the window very slightly.
I'd rather not get your cancer, thanks. I've got enough problems of my own to deal with.
Yeah, what problems?
Told you about the discoloration on my hand.
Oh, that.
Look at it.
Howard pulls up his sleeve and makes Justin look at his wrist, but he doesn't take a great deal of interest.
It's fucked. I'm fucked.
Howard continues to drive. Justin carries on smoking.
Why are you coming anyway? It's not because of Martha, is it?
Justin's silence speaks volumes.
Oh, Justin.
Exterior London, day. Wide shot of the car driving in London. Interior Martha's car moving, day. Martha and Simon, also around 30, are driving along wearing funeral attire. Martha is very attractive, but with a feisty quality. Simon is a little anxious looking. He keeps his eyes firmly on the road as he drives along.
How are you feeling?
Too happy. Thanks, Mom. I'm a bit nervous.
About seeing my dad?
I don't think I've been ever quite openly hated by anyone before.
Oh, he just hates everyone. You mustn't take it to heart. You need to relax with him. You act so nervous when he's around.
I can't help it. He puts me on edge.
Well, he's going to be more concerned with his sister's husband has just died anyway. He won't be focused on you.
You know, I'm really not sure I made the right choice by coming.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, you didn't have a choice. You're engaged now. You have to do things like this. Anyway, I'm sure when my dad hears we're getting married, then he'll start to learn to accept you.
I'm sure about that. I really don't see Victor as the accepting type.
He'll come around. Don't worry so much.
Martha takes his hand. They exchange a look, and Simon takes his eyes off the road for just a brief moment. Suddenly, there's a loud, sustained beep. Simon screeches to a halt. They come to a stop, just avoiding another car. Everyone's okay.
Oi, you fucking idiot. Why didn't you watch where you're going?
We're on our way to a funeral, you wanker. Don't you have any respect?
Martha looks at Simon, who's almost shaking with fear.
Are you all right?
Simon is hyperventilating.
Okay, calm down. Deep breaths.
Martha strokes his arm to try and make him feel better. Interior bedroom, day. Jane is putting her shoes on.
I'm going to go down. Hopefully they've managed to bring the right coffin this time.
Okay, and you better check on the seating. Make sure there's enough room for Uncle Alfie.
Oh, shit.
Daniel walks over and picks up the phone.
Oh, Daniel, you didn't forget about Uncle Alfie. He'll be sitting in the street.
Interior Howard's car moving, day. Howard and Justin are still driving on the motorway. Howard's still taking cursory glances at the discoloration on his arm.
Nah. How did he die anyways, Daniel's dad?
He choked on an orange peel. Can you believe that?
Justin looks at Howard strangely.
Are you taking the piss?
No. Why?
There are certain indulgence practices involving oranges. Don't you know that?
What practices?
The mobile phone rings. Howard has to lean right over it to get the phone from the glove compartment. Justin does nothing to help. Howard puts it to his ear.
Hello? Yes, mate, how are you doing? Right. Oh, of course not. It's absolutely fine. No problem at all. Oh, I'm more than happy to. Okay, see you soon. Absolutely. Bye.
Howard puts the
Shit.
phone down, angry.
What's the matter?
Get the A to Z out. We have to go and pick up Daniel's Uncle Alfie.
Why do we have to?
What do you want me to do? You don't argue with someone whose father just died. They ask you to do something, you do it. It's like they have an automatic pass, a death pass.
Exterior wide shot of motorway, day. We see Howard's car exiting off the motorway. Interior living room. The Undertaker is replacing the coffin on the stand. Daniel approaches. The Undertaker nervously lifts the lid and Daniel looks inside.
So this is, your father, sir?
Beat.
Yes, it is.
The Undertaker gently closes the lid and all 4 Undertakers quietly head off. Daniel looks up and sees that his mother, Sandra, 65, is walking over towards the coffin. Sandra is clearly drained and tired, but with enough grace to have made herself look respectable. She's staring vacantly at the coffin. Daniel puts his arm around her shoulder. The atmosphere is solemn.
Are you all right, Mum?
I just don't know what I'm going to do without him. What have I got to live for now?
Don't be silly. You've got your family, your friends.
Daniel sees Jane enter the living room.
Me and Jane and Robert.
Where is Robert? Have you heard from him?
Yes, his plane was due to land at 10. Don't worry, I'm sure he'll be here.
Jane arrives next to them. She puts her hand on the coffin.
Hi, Sandra. How are you feeling?
Don't put your hand there, dear. You'll leave smudge marks.
Jane removes her hand and throws Daniel a glance. Exterior London, Troy's apartment, day. The exterior of a student apartment. Martha and Simon are walking up the stairs to the front door. Interior, Troy's apartment. Troy, 20s, scruffy, but in a youthful, cool way, is half dressed in his funeral outfit. He's leaning over a table, holding a pair of tweezers, sorting through some pills and putting them on a piece of paper. A joint smokes in the ashtray. Troy holds a cordless phone to his ear, talking as he's sorting the pills.
I'll get them to you this evening. No, I can't do this afternoon. I've got a funeral. Yeah, my uncle died. Yeah, tragic. I'm telling you, mate, this stuff is really powerful. You should really only take half. Trust me, they're going to blow your fucking head off.
The doorbell rings.
I've got to go. My sister's here. I'll take them with me and drop them by after the funeral, okay? Catch you later. Bye.
He looks around the desk for an appropriate bottle from the many available and finds one with a label that says Valium. He pours out the remaining pills into a nearby bin, takes the piece of paper with the pills on it, and pours them into the Valium bottle. Exterior, London, Troy's apartment. Martha rings the front doorbell again. She looks at Simon, who's still looking a little pale.
How are you feeling?
It's shaky.
After a moment, Troy opens the door, not wearing any trousers.
Hey, how's it going?
You're not ready? Come on, Troy. We're going to be late.
I'll be 2 minutes.
Martha and Simon follow Troy into the flat.
You guys okay?
Yeah, Simon's a bit shaken up. We just had some arsehole driver try to ram us off the road.
Really? Fucking bastards. Make yourselves comfy. I just gotta get my trousers on and I'm done.
Troy heads off to the bathroom and closes the door. Martha and Simon head into the living room, which is an absolute mess with pill bottles everywhere. Martha goes off into the kitchen to get some water.
Where are all these pills all over the place?
Troy is studying to be a pharmacist.
Martha comes back and spots the bottle of Valium on the table and picks it up.
Here, have one of these. It'll calm you down. Absolutely. It's just Valium. I used to take them all the time. It'll make you feel better, honestly.
Simon takes the pill and swallows it with some water. Troy walks in now with his trousers on.
Ready.
Simon and Martha leave. Troy surreptitiously picks up the Valium bottle, puts it in his pocket, then follows them out. Exterior, front of house. Wide shot of the front of the house. A black sedan has pulled up. The passenger door is opened and a man emerges. He's in his 30s, very slick and successful looking, charming and larger than life. This is Robert. The chauffeur has gone to the boot and puts Robert's luggage on the ground next to him. Robert gives him a tip. The chauffeur acknowledges the tip before getting back in the car as Robert stands there just looking at the house in which he was raised. Interior, exterior, entryway, same time. Cameras in the entryway now shooting outside. The sedan is exiting, leaving Robert standing looking at the house and property. We see countryside behind him in the distance. Then Robert moves slowly towards camera and through the front doorway as the camera pulls back with him.
Hello? Hello?
Interior living room, day. Robert enters the living room.
Robert!
Sandra goes to Robert and practically flings her arms around him. Daniel looks a bit lost in the background with Jane. Robert finally manages to disengage from his mother and walks over and hugs both Daniel and Jane.
How you doing?
Hey.
They break off the hug.
How was the flight?
Great. There was a lot of turbulence though, which was a bit worrying. I guess that's the thing about the first class. Doesn't matter how much you paid for your ticket. If the plane crashes, you're all gonna end up
Robert realizes his faux pas. This is too much for Sandra, who just bursts into tears and rushes off.
Oh shit.
I'll make sure she's okay.
Jane heads off after Sandra. Daniel gives Robert a weary look. Interior Martha's car moving, leaving London day. Martha is now driving. Simon is sitting in the passenger seat, looking a little spaced out, with Troy in the back. Troy leans forward.
So, poor old Uncle Sidney.
Yeah.
Did you ever meet Uncle Sidney, Simon?
There is no response. Simon looks distantly out the window.
Simon?
Is there a dog in here just now?
Martha looks at Simon very strangely.
What?
I'm sure there was a dog in here.
Beat.
What the hell are you talking about?
Simon goes quiet and just goes back to looking out the window. Martha looks confused. Troy looks curious. Interior living room. Robin and Daniel stand awkwardly close to the coffin. Robert has taken a moment to register that his dad is actually in there. Then he recovers.
Well, this is bloody grim, isn't it?
It's supposed to be fun, Robert.
I know, but Jesus, I feel like my heart's been wrenched out of my rib cage. It's awful.
Grief for you.
This is why I prefer not to have close relationships. There's too much emotion involved.
Daniel gives his brother a disparaging look.
It's weird being back here. I feel so out of it.
That's what comes from living in a different country. You lose touch.
I'm just gonna be glad that you're gonna be around to look after Mum.
For long, Jen and I are moving out.
Great. So, what are you gonna do with Mum? Stick her in at home?
Well, actually, I was thinking maybe you could take her to New York with you.
Oh, don't be ridiculous. I can't take her to New York. What am I going to do with her? Take her to parties? She'd hate it. No, she's better off with you and Jane, believe me.
We've already decided. We're putting a deposit on a house, which reminds me, I'm going to need that money.
What money?
The money for the funeral. You agreed to pay half.
Did I?
Yes.
Oh, right.
So?
Well, I don't have it on me, Daniel. I'll get it to you in a few months. I'm due in advance in October.
I can't wait a few months. I need it now.
Well, it's not going to happen, is it? I'm totally skint.
What do you mean you're skint? You're a successful novelist. You've got swanky New York apartment.
And do you have any idea how much it costs for the upkeep? Besides which, I just had to lay out a fortune for the flight over here. Do you know what they're charging for first class nowadays? It's a disgrace.
Daniel looks at Robert in despair. Interior Howard's car, exterior street. Howard is driving along looking out for Uncle Alfie until they finally see an old man dressed in a black suit sitting in a wheelchair on the pavement.
Is that him?
Jesus, Howard, you didn't tell me this guy was going to be on a wheelchair.
I didn't know.
What's he doing?
Uncle Alfie, an elderly man in a wheelchair, appears to be shouting at passersby on the street and poking at them with his cane. It's clear that the man's a bit insane. A nurse is sitting on a bench supposedly caring for Alfie, but instead is engrossed in a magazine. Howard winds down his window tentatively and addresses the nurse.
Excuse me. We're here to collect Alfie.
Oh, thank God for that.
The nurse walks off, leaving Howard and Justin looking miffed and Uncle Alfie in his wheelchair on the pavement.
Where the fuck have you been? You're late.
Interior living room. A few mourners are arriving. Robert is still standing with Daniel. He looks at the mourners coming through.
Who are all these people anyway? I don't even recognize any of them.
Robert sees Peter, a 4'6" man, standing over by the entrance.
Who the hell is that guy?
Idea. Maybe a friend of Dad's from work or something, so you're telling me I'm going to have to pay for the whole funeral?
Well, I can't draw money out of thin air, Daniel.
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ.
The Reverend suddenly appears.
Ben, how's everything going?
Fine, thank you. We're just waiting for everyone to arrive. Then we can get going. I know you're in a hurry.
Great, thank you.
The Reverend stands there looking like he's waiting to be introduced to Robert.
Oh, sorry, have you met my brother Robert?
Ah, the writer. Of course, it's a pleasure to meet you. I've read several of your novels.
Oh, really?
Daniel is irritated.
You must be very proud of your brother.
Oh, yes, very proud.
And will you be making the eulogy today?
No, Daniel will be doing the eulogy.
The Reverend tries his best not to look disappointed.
Great. Well, just make sure I have everything I need.
He walks off.
Look, I think you should just do the eulogy. My brother's expecting you to do it. I'll probably mess the whole thing up anyway.
Don't be silly, you'll be fine.
Victor, Sandra's brother, a middle-aged doctor, approaches Daniel and Robert.
Hello, Robert. Hello, Victor.
They greet each other in a manly way. Interior, Martha's car moving in the country. Martha's driving. She's still a bit concerned about Simon, who is listening intently to the radio and nodding his head enthusiastically to the beat.
What's the song?
Martha gives Simon a funny look.
Simon, are you feeling all right?
Simon starts touching his face. Troy leans forward and puts his head round to the window side of Martha's chair and speaks quietly to her.
Martha, is Simon normally like this?
What the hell do you think?
Troy looks concerned. Interior, Howard's car moving in the country. Howard is driving. Justin is in the passenger seat. Uncle Alfie shouts from the back.
Why don't you slow down? You're going too fast. Why do people have to drive so fast?
I'm driving at 30 miles per hour.
What?
I'm going at 30 miles per hour.
Speak up! I can't hear you.
Howard turns his
going
head
about-
so he shouts.
I'm going about 30.
Howard gets a whack on the arm from Alfie's cane.
Watch the road, you bloody fool! You'll get us all killed.
Howard winces and clutches his hurt arm. Howard and Justin realize they're dealing with a maniac. Interior living room. More mourners have arrived, wearing black and looking appropriately sad. Everyone speaks in hushed, sad tones. Victor is standing with Robert and Daniel.
So, how's it going in New York? Any new books coming out? Oh, one coming out at Christmas, actually. Oh, good stuff. And what's all this I hear about you not doing the eulogy? Oh, that's right. Daniel's going to do the eulogy. Oh, that's a damn shame. I mean, I'm sure you'll be good, Daniel. It's just, what with Robert being the writer of the family.
Excuse me.
Daniel walks off towards Jane, who is doing her bit to welcome the mourners.
Every single bloody person wants Robert to do the eulogy. He was my father too. Just as entitled to do the bloody eulogy.
Of course you are. It's going to be the best bloody eulogy anyone's ever heard.
Two mourners walk past, oblivious to their proximity to Daniel and Jane.
Here, apparently Robert won't be doing the eulogy.
What a shame. He's such a wonderful writer.
Interior, Howard's car moving. Uncle Alfie is asleep in the back. Howard is looking for a parking space, but there doesn't seem to be anything available. A catering truck and a flower van are taking up a lot of space.
There's absolutely nowhere to park.
Then the small flower delivery van pulls out. Justin points out the newly empty space.
Why don't you park over there?
I'll never fit in there.
Of course you will. It's huge. Don't be a sissy.
You really think I can make it in there?
Of course.
All right.
Just as he's about to drive in, another car takes it.
Oh, what the hell?
For God's sake, Howard, why didn't you just park?
The other car contains Troy, Simon, and Martha. Howard winds down his window.
Hey, look, it's Martha.
I was actually about to park there.
Martha gets out of the car.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry, Howard, but I'm late for my uncle's funeral.
Hi, Martha.
Hi, Justin. Well, what do you think we're doing here? We haven't come to read the gas meter. Are you a relative? Well, no, but
The flower delivery van has been waiting to move forward. Its driver now beeps the horn.
all right, hang on a minute.
Martha, Simon, and Troy walk off and head towards the house. Justin watches them go.
Did you see that? She barely even looked at me.
Howard turns around and looks at Uncle Alfie.
Oh my God, I've got Uncle Alfie in the car. How did I forget to say that I've got Uncle Alfie?
Justin has other concerns. The van, a few yards in front of him, beeps again.
Yeah, all right. Keep your hair on.
Barely even looked.
Howard, now highly irritated, is forced to drive backwards down the long road he drove up while passing all the parked cars on the side. Exterior driveway. Simon, Martha, and Troy are walking down the driveway where there are various people mingling.
Very green in here, isn't it? It's green. Very green.
Martha takes Simon to the side.
Simon, what the hell is the matter with you?
What do you mean?
All this talking about phantom dogs and things being green. What's going on?
I don't know.
Simon wanders off, leaving Martha with Troy.
Something's not right. I think it must be the Valium.
Troy is shocked.
Valium?
I gave him a Valium in your flat. I just think he's not used to it.
Oh, right.
Troy's face reveals his realization of what's happened. He puts his fist in his mouth. Interior living room. Victor enters and goes up to Sandra, who is standing with Daniel and Jane.
How are you feeling, sis?
Just very sad. He was a wonderful husband, wasn't he? So attentive, so devoted.
Jane gives Sandra a comforting stroke of the shoulder.
Can I get you a cup of tea or anything, Sandra?
Tea can do many things, Jane, but it can't bring back the dead.
Sandra walks off all upset. Jane feels like shit. Everyone looks awkward.
You can't just say anything when you're there in this state. At least you two are here, so she won't be on her own.
Victor heads off. Jane turns to Daniel.
Son of a... Daniel, did you sort the money out with your brother?
Yeah, all sorted.
Right, so are you gonna call them?
Definitely.
Jane is irritated that Daniel's not more forthcoming.
Why don't you just give me the number and I'll do it?
No, it's all right. I'll do it later.
But it might be gone later. Do you understand, Daniel? If I have to continue living in this house, I'll end up going insane. Is that what you want?
Daniel's looking around the room and catches eye contact with Peter, the 4'6" man who seems to be staring straight at him. Daniel finds this awkward and distracting.
Jane, to make it obvious, that guy standing by the wall. Do you recognize him at all?
What?
There's something about him. He just keeps looking at me. It's starting to creep me out a bit.
Are you listening to me, Daniel? We need to put a down payment on that house before it's too late.
Daniel looks miffed as Jane storms off. We see Peter standing alone at the other side of the room. He raises his eyebrows to Daniel. Exterior long row with parked cars, day. Howard's car is almost at the corner, still being forced backwards by the flower van. We see that Justin is thinking about something.
Stop the car, Howard.
What?
Stop the car. I had to speak to her. I had to speak to Martha.
Howard reluctantly stops the car. Justin gets out.
What about Uncle Alfie? I need help with Uncle Alfie.
It's too late. Justin is gone. Starts to trek up the road. The van in front of Howard honks the horn. Alfie wakes up.
What's going on here? Where are we? We're going to be late.
Alfie hits him on the arm with his cane.
Ow! Can you please stop doing that?
The van keeps beeping. Howard backs up. Interior living room. Daniel, looking nervous, is in a corner reading through his eulogy.
My father was an exceptional man.
The Reverend comes over.
I really think we should be calling everyone in now to start the service. Really, I'm only supposed to be here until 3.
Sure. Can we just wait 5 minutes for my Uncle Alfie? We shouldn't really start without him if possible.
Of course.
As the Reverend walks away, Daniel again sees Peter through the doorway, standing in the background, peering at him, seeming to be slightly closer this time. Again, he raises his eyebrows to Daniel, who responds with an uneasy smile. Exterior driveway. Victor comes over to greet his daughter and son.
Hi, Dad. How are you doing?
Not too bad.
Martha kisses him.
Hi, Dad.
Hi, Troy. You missing university today?
Oh, a bit. Not to worry, though. I'll catch up.
I know. I'm not worried about you.
Victor looks pointedly at Martha. Martha is irritated.
How's Aunt Sandra?
She's bearing up.
Victor looks over and sees Simon examining a bush. He gives Martha a look.
So you brought what's-his-face along, I see?
His name's Simon. And yes, of course I brought him along. He's my boyfriend. Anyway, I don't know why you've got such a problem with him. If you gave him half a chance, you'd realize that he's actually a highly intelligent, able, and successful young man.
Simon wanders over to join them, holding a leaf in his hand.
Look, isn't it beautiful?
Simon's staring at it in fascination. Martha's embarrassed.
Simon, you remember my dad, don't you?
Simon looks up and sees Victor standing there. He's immediately nervous.
Hi. So sorry about the death and everything.
Victor looks at him strangely. Troy looks concerned.
Yeah. I'll see you after the service.
Victor heads off. Martha doesn't think it went very well.
Martha, can I speak to you for a minute?
Troy takes Martha's arm with some urgency and takes her off to the side.
What? What is it?
Okay, I have to tell you something, and I'll warn you in advance you're not going to like it.
Interior study. Daniel's pacing and practicing his eulogy, trying his best to concentrate amid the growing throng of people he sees through the doorway.
My father was an exceptional man.
Robert approaches and shakes his sleeve.
Ugh, my God, that Katie's grown up a bit, hasn't she?
Katie, 20 and attractive, can be seen through the doorway.
What?
Katie. She was a little girl when I left. Now she's, you know, she's fit.
Daniel looks distastefully at his brother.
I might go and have a little chat with her.
Yeah, why don't you do that?
Robert heads off towards the girl. Daniel once again catches eye contact with Peter, who now looks like he's edged even closer. Exterior driveway. Martha is standing next to Troy, with Simon just off at a distance making strange, contorted expressions with his face. Other people are starting to notice him and think he's slightly odd. Martha is looking at Troy in absolute shock.
What did you just say?
I said that the Valium you gave to Simon wasn't actually Valium. It's a hallucinogenic concoction, you know, stuff like acid, mescaline, ketamine.
Ugh, this isn't funny, Troy.
I'm not being funny. Look at him. He's off his tits.
They look at Simon, who is indeed looking around him with eyes wide as saucers.
Sorry. You absolute little twat. What the hell were you doing leaving this stuff around your flat?
I didn't know someone was going to take it, did I? Who's just going to come into someone else's flat and takes random pills?
They were in a Valium bottle.
Martha looks over at Simon, who's squatting beside a golden garden sculpture looking fascinated.
Troy, what the hell am I meant to do? Should I tell him?
No, don't do that. It'll freak him out completely. I think that we should just keep a very close eye on him, make sure he doesn't get out of control, and don't let him spend too long talking to one person.
Exterior road. Howard is struggling to get Alfie out of the car and into the wheelchair.
What are you doing? Don't do that. You'll break it. Come on.
Alfie bangs his cane on the floor impatiently. Interior study. Daniel is standing, still nervously rehearsing his eulogy. Peter, the mysterious guest, suddenly appears at the doorway. Hi there. Daniel looks up at him, surprised and apprehensive. I was really sorry to hear about your dad. He often talked about you, you know, always said you were a good son.
Thanks. So, were you a friend of his?
Something like that, yeah. Daniel eyes Peter with some suspicion.
Well, nice to meet you. Thank you for coming.
And Daniel walks away, leaving Peter alone. Exterior road. Howard is struggling to push Alfie up a steep hill. He's gasping and wheezing.
Come on! Put your back into it! You're supposed to be a young man. Don't you have any strength?
Howard tries to up his pace, but he's finding it very hard to cope physically. Exterior front of house. Martha sees Sandra approaching from the living room.
Oh, God. Here comes Aunt Sandra.
Sandra comes up to Martha and Troy and kisses them hello.
I'm so sorry. We're going to miss Uncle Sidney terribly.
Yeah, he was a great guy. Thank you.
Simon appears next to Martha with a big grin on his face.
Are you seeing this man's hair?
Simon points over at one of the mourners who has an amusing haircut. Martha is looking terribly embarrassed.
This is my boyfriend, Simon. Simon, this is my Aunt Sandra.
Simon shakes her hand nervously. He's now trying to stop himself laughing and is failing miserably. Sandra just stares at him like he's the worst scum on earth. Simon gets distracted and wanders off. A mourner taps Sandra on the shoulder. She turns around to talk to the mourner, leaving Martha and Troy standing looking concerned.
What are you going to do?
I don't know. I can't leave, can I? Auntie Sandra will never speak to me again.
Justin arrives, disturbing their conversation.
Martha?
Martha looks at him and answers him coldly.
Hi, Justin.
Oh, hi, Justin.
Being aware of Martha's previous relationship with Justin and not particularly liking him, Troy leaves.
You look nice.
I'm dressed for a funeral.
Yeah, but still.
Awkward moment.
So I heard about the engagement.
News travels fast. I haven't even told my dad yet.
Justin looks over and notices Simon looking bewildered.
So that's him, is it? The man you're going to spend the rest of your life with.
Martha looks over at him and he's wandering inside with a look of awe on his face.
Yep, that's him.
Simon starts to get into a conversation with someone, so Martha thinks she better stop.
Martha,
Oh, shit, I have to go.
Martha walks off, leaving Justin feeling dumped. Howard has just turned the corner of the driveway and is now in front of the home with Alfie. He pushes Alfie to the front porch close to Justin. Howard looks like he's about to collapse from exhaustion. Howard expects Justin is going to help him lift Alfie up the front steps, but Justin just stays looking at where he last saw Martha.
I can't believe she's going to marry that guy. She must be out of her mind.
Lift it! You have to lift it!
Howard struggles to lift Alfie in the wheelchair, huffing and puffing. Justin is just standing there. Howard watches him, incredulous.
Any chance of a hand here, Justin?
Interior living room day. Peter again approaches Daniel. He looks like he's about to say something important. Actually, there's something I'd like to talk to you about when you have a minute. Daniel spots in the background Justin coming through the door with his Uncle Alfie.
Yeah, that's great. Do you mind if we do it later, though? My uncle's just arrived.
Sure. Daniel heads off. Interior, exterior, front door entrance, entryway. Justin comes through with the wheelchair. Howard is panting in the background.
Oh, that's brilliant. Justin, thanks so much. Hope it wasn't too much hassle.
No, not at all, mate.
Howard is still trying to get his breath back, so can't say anything and watches in horror as Justin takes the credit.
How are you doing, Uncle Alfie?
Terrible!
Daniel wheels Alfie away. Interior living room. Daniel enters and nods to the Reverend. The Reverend stands up at the front. Daniel pushes Uncle Alfie to the front and takes his seat in the front row next to Jane. He takes out his notes and looks at them nervously.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you could all kindly take your seats, we're about to begin the service.
Martha is sitting Simon down. He now looks completely off his face. Troy is on her other side. Pretty much everyone is sitting down now, apart from Howard, who's sweating from his exertions, is trying to get through the row to sit in a seat next to Justin. The Reverend waits for the disturbance to end so that Howard attracts the attention of everyone in the service. He finally makes it next to Justin. Justin leans away.
Mate, you stink.
Yeah, well, maybe that's because you left me to deal with Uncle Alfie on my own. Not to mention taking all the credit.
Martha turns around.
Howard, can you be quiet?
Howard is deeply irritated by this.
Family and friends, we're gathered here today to mourn the passing of Sidney.
While the Reverend is talking, Howard pokes Martha on the shoulder and leans forward.
Just so you know, Martha, we actually had Daniel's Uncle Alfie in the car with us.
Daniel is still reading through his speech, but being disturbed by Howard's whispering a couple of rows behind him.
You stole my parking space and I had to push him half a mile up a hill. We almost missed the service.
Daniel looks around to see Howard poking Martha.
Jesus Christ.
Howard taps her on the shoulder again.
That was my parking space. Look, Howard, if you don't stop poking me on the shoulder, then I'm going to take you outside and I'm going to kick the living shit out of you. Do you understand me?
What the heck's going on?
She stole my parking space.
What do you mean she stole your parking space? It's a funeral. Behave yourself.
Howard feels berated. Martha turns around and gives him a smug grin, but there's not much he can do to retaliate. Angle on the Reverend at the front of the hall.
And now we'll have a few words from Sydney's son, Daniel.
Jane gives Daniel a supportive squeeze of the arm as he makes his way up to the podium. We overhear Uncle Alfie talking loudly to the person next to him.
Why isn't Robert doing the eulogy?
Daniel arrives at the front and looks out across the expectant crowd. He looks extremely nervous.
Hi, everyone.
Daniel nervously wipes some sweat from his brow.
Thanks to many of you for coming. I never realized my dad was so popular. In fact, he seems to have more friends now that he's dead than he did when he was alive.
Blank faces stare back at Daniel. Jane looks pained. He decides to read deadpan straight from his piece of paper.
My father was an exceptional man. He was a man who lived for his family and for his work.
While Daniel is reading his eulogy, Simon is focusing on the coffin. Suddenly, he grabs Martha's arm.
See that?
See what?
Coffin just moved.
What?
I'm telling you, I saw it move.
Martha looks concerned. Simon looks completely wired. Daniel becomes vaguely aware of the disturbance, but battles on with his eulogy.
And I'll never forget the time when Dad took us to the place where he grew up.
Simon's protestations are getting louder. Victor looks back at the disruption with a disapproving glare.
Happened again.
Simon, please.
I'm telling you, that coffin is moving.
People start looking around at Simon, who's becoming increasingly vocal and looking increasingly like someone on hallucinogenic drugs.
Simon, just calm down.
The coffin's moving, I tell you.
Everyone turns to look at him, shocked. Daniel stops his eulogy. Martha is about to die from embarrassment.
There's someone alive in there.
Simon, please sit down.
Troy practically has his whole fist in his mouth. Everyone else is just looking appalled and astonished.
What the hell is wrong with you all?
Simon stands up.
Simon, where are you going?
Simon ignores her and walks purposefully towards the coffin at the front. People watch him in astonishment.
What are you doing?
There's something moving in there. Can't you see?
Simon starts to open the coffin. Daniel steps down from the raised floor of the conservatory and tries to stop him, but Simon is determined. A tussle begins and several of the other mourners start to get involved. Victor comes over with an appalled expression on his face and tries to pull Simon away, but Simon's absolutely determined to get in there and won't be stopped.
Get away from there!
No, I have to show you.
The scene descends into absolute chaos with people pushing and struggling. Finally, the coffin falls off the platform and tips over. The very dead body of Sydney rolls out onto the floor at the feet of Sandra, to the shock of the onlookers, not least of all Simon. Robert drops his head in his hands. As we fade to black, we can hear the chaos and screams of the congregation. Cut to black. Fade in, interior kitchen. It's a few minutes later. Sandra is sitting with a hot cup of tea, staring into oblivion. She looks devastated and has lots of people comforting her, including Daniel.
Are you okay, dear?
In the other room, we can hear Robert speaking to the rest of the mourners.
Excuse me, everyone. Just to let you know, no, we are having everything put back in place, and it shouldn't be long before we can resume the service.
Daniel marches out of the kitchen. Interior living room. Daniel barrels through the living room towards the back garden. In the background, some mourners, including Victor, are helping to put Sydney's body back into the coffin. Robert is still giving his announcement.
So, if you'd all like to have some lovely tea and cake, we'll let you know when we're ready to continue.
Exterior back garden. In the back garden, Martha is trying to comfort Simon, who's looking very disturbed indeed. Troy is also there looking guilty. Martha is giving Simon a glass of water. Daniel comes up to them, having come from the conservatory.
Good God, Martha, what the fuck was that about?
I'm so sorry, Daniel. Go back inside, please. I'll explain later.
An annoyed and confused Daniel turns and walks back to the house, crossing Victor, who has also just come from the conservatory and is headed for Simon.
I'll kill him!
Martha tries to keep Victor away from Simon, who is stressed enough, and looks at Victor terrified.
Dad, leave it.
Leave it! He completely wrecked the funeral!
It wasn't his fault.
What do you mean it wasn't his fault? Your Aunt Sandra's in there in tatters. I want him out of here right this minute. Is that clear? I don't want to see that ridiculous man ever again in my life. Do you understand me?
I can't do that.
Why not?
Because we're getting married, that's why not.
Victor looks like he's about to faint. He looks over at Simon, who looks like he's just seen a ghost, struggling to stand up straight, with Troy, who's doing his best to look after him.
Have you lost your marbles?
This isn't actually what he's like. He's had some drugs and they've made him act all weird.
What do you mean he's had some drugs? What drugs?
Troy looks over, his eyes pleading with Martha not to drop him in it.
He took some Valium and he had a bad reaction.
Valium?
Troy looks grateful.
Dad, maybe you should go back inside and see how Aunt Sandra's doing.
Victor looks at Troy, then at Simon, then at Martha.
We'll talk about this later.
Victor walks back to the house. Interior living room. Howard walks over to speak to Daniel, who's trying to keep the various mourners calm.
Are you all right, mate? I mean, that was something, wasn't it? Never seen a dead body before. So weird. All pale and dead.
Daniel looks at Howard.
Terrible, isn't it? One minute everything's fine and you're having a normal day, and the next you're dead man, a corpse.
Please shut up, Howard.
Oh, of course, yeah. Sorry, it's just that you never know when it's going to happen to you. Do you know what I mean? It's like I've had this weird patch of skin on my wrist. Have I shown it to you yet?
No.
I've had it for weeks and I've got no idea what it is.
Daniel spots Victor walking towards the kitchen.
Why don't you show it to my uncle? Why don't you show it to my Uncle Victor? He's a doctor.
Great, thanks.
Howard walks off towards Victor. Exterior back garden. Loggia day. Simon, Martha, and Troy stand together.
I swear I saw the thing moving. I must be going mad. Why are my hands so big?
Simon, listen to me. I need to tell you something.
Martha sits him down on the bench. Simon's eyes are bulging out of his head.
What is it?
Now, you remember I gave you some Valium earlier?
Yeah.
Well, it turns out that it wasn't actually Valium I was giving you.
What do you mean?
It was a concoction of drugs that Troy had made.
Simon looks up at Troy, who sort of waves back embarrassedly. Simon is trying to grasp the meaning of what's being explained to him.
What?
Well, it's acid mostly. Some speed as well. Little ketamine.
Simon goes quiet for a while.
So this is why I feel like I'm on the planet Pluto.
Yeah. Now, my advice is to relax and just go with the flow. Try and enjoy it.
Simon stands up, agitated and panicking, and grabs Troy by the lapels. Troy looks shocked.
How long does it last?
I don't know. About 8 hours?
8 hours of this?
As Martha struggles to prise Simon off of Troy, the Valium bottle falls out of Troy's pocket without anyone realizing. Simon sits down and starts hyperventilating. People are starting to gather to see what's going on.
I'm gonna be sick.
Martha picks Simon up and takes him inside.
Bathroom.
Everyone, out of the way!
Martha leads him into the house. Interior living room. Daniel has just finished speaking to one of the mourners who walks away. Jane walks up to him.
My God, Daniel, that was unbelievable.
No.
We see Martha and Simon crossing behind and heading up the stairs.
Are you okay?
Well, I'll be all right. But No, I haven't sorted out the house yet.
Daniel walks off, leaving Jane looking frustrated and hurt. Interior upstairs corridor. Martha leads Simon into the bathroom and he goes in and shuts the door behind him. Interior bathroom. Simon stands in the bathroom. He's building up quite a sweat and mumbling to himself.
Ah, Jesus.
He runs the tap and splashes some water on his face.
Okay, stay calm, stay calm.
Interior corridor. Martha stands anxiously in the corridor.
Simon, are you okay?
Interior bathroom. Simon is looking at himself in the mirror, blocking out Martha.
Oh, we'll keep it together. That's it. Just, it'll be all right. It'll be all right. It'll be. Do this one day. You're gonna laugh. It'll be a funny story and tell your friends.
Interior kitchen. Howard's holding his hand in front of Victor's face.
It's kind of a skin discoloration. I've had it for weeks now, and it's just not going away.
Victor is looking at Howard incredulous.
I mean, it's just a small area here, but it's weird, isn't it? Don't you think it's weird?
Reluctantly, Victor answers him.
You should probably go and see a dermatologist.
Howard looks at him surprised.
Really? Why? What do you think it is?
I don't know. It looks like some kind of pigment mutation.
A pigment mutation?
Excuse me?
Victor takes a swig of his drink and heads off, leaving Howard looking shocked and terrified.
Pigment mutation.
Interior bathroom. Simon is still staring at himself in the mirror, looking completely off his head.
That's it. Just keep it together. It'll be fine. Yes, Simon Smith. You're a solicitor. Get out of this. No problem. Say it now, as he said. Easy, no problem at all. When you've already been here for.
He looks at his watch.
Where's my watch? Oh, wait, 5 minutes.
Suddenly, the pressure of the situation overtakes him and he screams out.
Oh, God, Jesus.
Interior entry corridor living room. Daniel hears the screaming and cursing going on upstairs. Peter appears next to him. Grief does strange things to people, doesn't it? Daniel looks at him a little freaked out by his sudden appearance again.
Yeah.
They stand in silence for a moment with the swearing in the background as an awkward backdrop. If you remember, I had something I wanted to talk to you about.
Oh, yeah.
Is there somewhere quiet we could go?
Oh, sure.
Daniel is extremely curious. They walk past Troy, who is frantically searching around the floor for his lost bottle of pills. Daniel leads Peter and opens the door into the study. Troy approaches Uncle Alfie, who is sitting near the buffet table.
Uncle Alfie, you haven't seen a little bottle of pills? For the last time, no!
Interior upstairs corridor. Martha is outside the bathroom banging on the door. We can still hear Simon moaning inside.
Simon, are you okay? Open the door.
Justin arrives behind her.
Hi there.
Martha looks at him a little coldly.
Hi.
Anything I can do to help?
Not really, thanks.
I guess you got it under control, have you?
Martha ignores him and continues banging on the door.
Simon!
Justin points to the bathroom from where anguished noise are emanating.
So this is your choice, is it? This is who you choose over me?
Look, I've got a lot on my plate right now, Justin, and I just can't deal with your shit. Now will you please just go away?
Justin looks hurt and walks off in a drop. Interior study. Peter takes a seat and notices a manuscript on the coffee table with Daniel's name on the front. Are you writing a novel?
Yeah.
Like your brother?
Well, you know, different from my brother, but
He's a great writer, isn't he?
yes, he is.
Daniel decides to move the conversation on.
So, anyway.
Yes, well, I've actually got some photos that I wanted to show you. Peter takes an envelope out of his inside jacket pocket and takes out some photos from the envelope.
Right.
Peter starts passing them to him one by one. We actually got quite close in the last few months, ended up spending rather a lot of time together.
I see.
Peter passes the first photo. That's me and your dad in Regent's Park. Daniel looks at the photos curiously. He's starting to suspect that something's up. That's us in one of those London buses. Daniel takes the next one, becoming more and more suspicious.
So where did you and my dad meet?
Just around. Interior living room, buffet. Howard is talking to Jane, who looks like she'd rather be a million miles away. At the same time as he's eating cake, he's also showing her his arm and the discolored area.
Daniel's uncle says it could be a pigment mutation. I mean, what the hell is pigment mutation?
Jane is completely disinterested and doesn't answer.
He said I should see a dermatologist.
Howard takes a curious look at the cake.
There are no almonds in this cake, are there? I'm allergic to almonds.
Jane walks off. Howard sniffs the cake. Interior study day. Daniel is sitting with Peter. Peter passes him another photo. That's one of me and your dad on our way to a fancy dress party in Kensington. That's your dad dressed up as a Roman centurion. He looks at the photo, becoming increasingly suspicious.
So, in what capacity were you actually friends with my dad? I mean, I don't want to be, but I don't remember him ever mentioning you, and yet you've got all these pictures where you're going around like...
The penny finally drops. Daniel stands up. He looks disturbed.
Oh, God.
Daniel sits down again and puts his head in his hands for a few moments while he absorbs the facts. It must come as a terrible shock to you. I'm sure he would have told you himself, but I guess he wasn't sure how you'd react. Daniel tries to gather his senses. He has a thought and turns to Peter.
Does my mum know about this?
No, and really there's no reason why she should find out. I mean, it would only upset her, wouldn't it? So I want you to know that you've got no worries about me saying anything to anyone about this.
Right.
Just as long as I get what's owed to me. A long pause. Daniel looks over at Peter.
What?
Well, obviously I should get something. I mean, your dad and I were lovers, and he left me absolutely nothing in his will. How do you think that makes me feel? Daniel fails to respond because he's in too much shock. I'll tell you how it makes me feel. Cheap, like some cheap slut. I mean, don't you think I should be entitled to something?
What do you want?
Well, I reckon 15,000 pounds should do.
15,000 pounds? I can't give you 15,000 pounds. I mean, it's like buying a house.
Well, it's up to you.
Hang on a second. You think you could come in here, show me a few photos of you and my dad on a bus, and that counts as proof? That's not proof of anything.
Peter shows Daniel a photo. We don't know what's on it, but we can tell from Daniel's reaction that it represents something in the way of proof. Now, I don't want to, but I will go, and I'll show these photos to everyone out there. Do you really want me to do that? Daniel stares at Peter, not knowing what to do or say.
Wait here.
He exits the study. All right. Interior entry corridor study door. As Daniel comes through the door, he's suddenly back in the corridor full of people mingling around. He's gone pale. A middle-aged man approaches Daniel and takes him by the hand.
Daniel, your father really was such a wonderful man.
No, thank you.
So loyal and trustworthy.
Yes.
Daniel nods and heads on, not looking at all well.
Oh, God, oh, God, oh, God.
He's looking around for Robert, but there's no sign. Interior living room buffet. Howard and Justin are standing together drinking tea. Howard's holding a piece of cake.
That was an absolute waste of time. I don't know why I even bothered. I got dressed up and everything.
Howard's still examining his arm.
How could she be more interested in that idiot up there than she is in me? I'm telling you, Howard, this world is a severely fucked up place.
Sounds serious, doesn't it?
What?
A pigment mutation.
Justin gives Howard a disparaging look. Troy comes along looking a little frantic.
Guys, you haven't seen a pill bottle around, have you? Like a Valium pill bottle?
No.
Troy heads off. Howard calls after him.
Let me know if you find them. I could do with one.
Troy smiles nervously at him and goes back to his search. Interior backup kitchen. Daniel enters the kitchen and sees Robert talking intimately to the attractive girl, Katie, and looking like he's making good progress. Daniel approaches.
Robert, I need to talk to you.
Not now, Daniel.
Important.
Give me 5 minutes.
Daniel pulls him away. Robert is extremely put out. Interior mudroom. Daniel pulls Robert into the small room and closes the door.
What are you doing? What is it?
Daniel lowers his voice.
That guy from before, that we didn't recognize, you know that one?
Yeah?
Daniel lowers his voice further.
I was just with him in the study, and he showed me these pictures
Yeah?
of him and Dad.
Right.
Him and Dad together.
Robert screws up his eyes.
Right.
Pictures of him and Dad together at parties in Kensington.
Robert's face is blank. He's not registering.
Look, is this going anywhere, Daniel? Because I was actually in the middle of something.
For God's sakes, Robert, you're shagging Dad!
Daniel immediately realizes he's been too loud, and he tries to get himself back under control. Robert looks disbelieving.
Fuck off! Are you shitting me?
I'm not shitting you, I'm telling you. He showed me pictures. God, I feel ill.
So, what are you saying? That Dad was a gay?
That's what I'm saying.
And he's been cheating on Mum?
Evidently.
Jesus Christ!
Look, I know it's a bit of a bombshell, but the concern right now is he wants money.
What do you mean he wants money?
It's £15,000.
Tell him to go fuck himself.
I know, you don't understand. He has the pictures. If we don't give it to him, he says he's going to tell everyone he has the most intimate details of their sex life. God.
I don't want to hear the intimate details of Dad's sex life.
Exactly. So what the hell are we going to do?
Oh, shit. Right. Okay, let me think.
Interior living room buffet. Howard is still standing with Justin. Justin's looking downhearted. Howard's sniffing his piece of cake.
I'm not really sure about this cake, you know? I think it's got almonds in it.
So?
So, I'm allergic to almonds.
Don't have it then.
Howard sniffs the cake.
Will you try it and tell me if it's got almonds in it?
No,
Oh, go on.
I don't want to.
Just do me a favor. Can't you just do me a favor?
Howard is pushing the cake towards Justin's mouth.
Can you please just fuck off?
Interior mudroom. Robert rubs his hand through his hair, desperately trying to come up with a solution. Daniel's getting impatient.
Okay, look. I think it's best if you just pay him the money.
What do you mean? You think it's best if I pay him the money?
I just don't think Mum could handle it.
Let me rephrase the question. What do you mean? You think it's best if I pay him the money?
Well, you've been living with your Mum and Dad long enough. You must have some money saved.
That's the money for the house. I can't give that away. Jane fucking kill me.
Well, I don't really think you've got any choice.
I've already had to pay for the entire bloody funeral, including the caterers that you demanded.
There's nothing wrong with those caterers.
Bloody expensive.
Hey, you can't have shitty catering at your own father's funeral.
Robert stops. He has a thought.
Wait a second. How do we know this guy's not bullshitting?
Daniel passes Robert the last photo that Peter gave him.
Oh my God.
The mudroom door opens.
There you are.
Robert very quickly puts the photo away. She goes to them and hugs them both.
My boys. He was so proud of my boys. At least we'll always have our good memories. No one can take those away from us.
Robert gives Daniel a loaded glance. Daniel closes his eyes, knowing that he'll have to give up the money. Interior living room. Uncle Alfie is sitting at the side looking distastefully at the food. Jane is doing the rounds and walks up to him.
Are you okay, Uncle Alfie?
No, I'm not. The food here is awful. It's worse than the muck they give us in the home.
Jane looks up to see Daniel and Robert in the corridor. Interior kitchen corridor. Daniel and Robert are walking.
This is so fucking typical.
What is?
Since we were kids, you've acted like you've got no responsibility to anyone, and I'm always the one that's got to shovel up the shit.
The Reverend appears in front of them and stops them.
Ah, I think we're just about ready to resume the service, so,
Would you mind giving us 5 minutes?
of course.
Thanks.
As the Reverend leaves, Jane arrives looking curious.
What's going on?
Daniel takes her off to the side and speaks quietly. Daniel motions to Robert to give him a minute alone. Robert waits out of earshot.
Look, Anita, I'm really sorry, but I'm afraid our moving out plans are gonna have to be put on hold.
What are you talking about? Why?
I can't explain right now. You know, I wouldn't do this unless I had a bloody good reason.
What's the reason?
Honestly, Jane, I've got time right now.
You listen to me, Daniel. You're telling me we're going to have to continue living in this house with your mother, and you're not giving me any explanation why?
Daniel looks at Jane. He lowers his voice.
It turns out that my dad is gay and I'm being blackmailed by his former lover into giving him £15,000. Otherwise, he's going to show everyone pictures of them doing stuff.
Jane looks at Daniel.
Are you joking?
No, I'm not joking.
Jane is extremely anxious.
Why do you have to pay? Why can't Robert pay?
He can't pay, he's got nothing. He can't even afford a shower of the funeral.
But you said...
I know what I said. Look, I've got to go. I'm sorry.
Daniel joins Robert before going into the study. Jane watches them go, trying to absorb what she's just been told.
Shit!
Interior bathroom. Simon is sitting on the toilet looking absolutely fucked. He pulls the toilet roll, then starts pulling more and more and more, unraveling the entire roll and looking like he's having the time of his life. Interior upstairs corridor. Martha is sitting on the floor of the corridor. Jane comes up and sees her and just flops down next to her.
Fucking men.
Tell me about it.
Interior study. Daniel and Robert enter the study, closing the door behind him. Peter is sitting on the couch reading a manuscript. Daniel is appalled.
What the hell are you doing with my manuscript?
Daniel grabs out of Peter's hand. It was on the desk.
It's ready to be seen by anyone.
Daniel angrily puts the manuscript away in the drawer. Well, you shouldn't leave it lying around if you don't want people to read it.
Oh, this is my office.
Guys, can we get to the point here?
Fine by me. Daniel is now extremely grumpy.
I write you this check. Then that's the end of it, yes? You give us the photos, and you stay out of our lives forever. Is that the deal?
That's the deal. With a terrible scowl on his face, Daniel sits down at the desk, reluctantly taking out his checkbook. Interior upstairs corridor. Martha and Jane still sitting next to each other.
I mean, do you have any idea what's it like to live with your mother-in-law, picking up everything, making comments about your lifestyle, what time you got in last night, what job you're doing? I've had it over a year now, and I've been living in a fucking nightmare. I'm beginning to think we're never going to get our own place.
So what are you going to do?
Long pause.
I just don't know.
Interior study. Daniel's pen is hovering over the checkbook. Finally, he starts to write the amount on the check. That's your first effort, is it? Daniel stops writing and looks up at him. The novel, it's a first work, isn't it?
Yeah. So?
No, nothing. Daniel goes back to the check. I tried writing once. Didn't work for me either. I think it's just a gift, you know? You either have it or you don't. It must be hard for you, though, especially trying to live up to your brother's reputation. Being overshadowed by a sibling like that. I read your last novel, by the way. It was really good stuff.
Thanks.
Right. That's it.
Suddenly, Daniel picks the check up off the desk and tears it into little pieces.
Daniel, what the hell are you doing?
There's no way I'm giving this twat a single penny of my money.
Don't be ridiculous.
No way. Why should I? I mean, he comes in here on the day of our father's funeral, tries to blackmail us, and slacks off my novel. Who the hell does he think he is?
He has the photos.
I'll let him show the photos.
Daniel.
Look, I give up, okay? I just can't take it anymore. If that's what he's going to do, then let's just get it over with.
There's a long pause as everyone seems to be deciding what to do. Finally, Peter stands up. Fine. Peter stands up and heads towards the door.
What? No! Wait!
Robert rushes to stand in front of the door, blocking Peter's exit. Get out of my way.
Let's just discuss this a minute.
There's nothing to discuss. Peter grabs the door and tries to open it. He tries to push past, but Robert grabs and wrestles him to the ground. Daniel watches on, absolutely shocked.
Jesus Christ! What are you doing?
Get off me! Robert is trying his best to muffle Peter's screams.
Daniel, give me a bloody hand here, would you?
Robert is holding Peter down and trying to keep him quiet. The scene is chaos. Ah!
Daniel, get some rope or something!
You get some rope. There isn't any rope.
Let's just grab a piece of cord or something. There, from the curtains.
Daniel grabs a cord from the curtains and gives it to Robert to tie Peter's hands.
Right, hold his legs.
Daniel grabs Peter's legs and holds them still.
Jesus, really bad idea.
Exterior back garden. As Howard walks outside, he sees Sandra sitting by the wall talking quietly with Victor. Howard feels like he should go up to her, though on the other hand, he really doesn't want to. Victor sees Howard approaching and wants to avoid him.
Shall we go inside?
In a moment.
I'll be right back.
He crosses Howard as Howard arrives in front of Sandra.
Hi there.
Hello.
Howard sits next to Sandra.
I'm sorry, about,
Thank you.
must be awful losing your husband. So young as well, relatively. Do you think you'll marry again? Probably too early to tell, isn't it?
Sandra looks at him.
Terrible, isn't it? That we have to die. One guy I knew got stabbed to death. He called this guy's mother a moose, and the bloke stabbed him in the neck. Hit a major artery. Blood spurting out everywhere, and the ridiculous thing was that the guy who did it told the police later he didn't even know what a moose was.
From Sandra's expression, it doesn't look as though he's helping her much.
Anyway, I'd better be. Do you happen to know if there are any almonds in the cake?
Sandra turns and looks at him.
That's fine. Not important.
As he walks away, he notices Troy's pill bottle on the ground. He bends down and picks it up and puts it in his pocket. Interior study day. Robert and Daniel are struggling with Peter. Get off of me, you bastard! What do you think you're going to do? Keep me quiet forever?
Shut up! Jesus, Daniel, throw me that tie!
The room is filled with panic. Daniel throws it over. Robert ties it around Peter's mouth. He's still struggling and managing to make a lot of noise even through the cloth. Suddenly the door opens and Howard enters.
Ah, Daniel, do you happen to know what was in the cake?
It takes Howard a moment to register that Daniel and Robert are sitting on top of Peter.
What's going on?
Jesus Christ, Howard, shut the fucking door!
Peter continued screaming through the cloth. Shocked, Howard does as he's told.
Keep still. Jesus, we need to calm him down. Give me an ashtray or something. I'll knock him out.
You can't do that.
We have to do something.
Howard has an idea.
I just found some Valium outside.
Great, bring them there.
Howard hands Robert the bottle.
Just pour them in.
Robert holds Peter's mouth open while Howard pours a handful of pills into his mouth. Then Robert holds his nose, forcing him to swallow. Once Peter has swallowed the pills, he appears to calm down, more out of exhaustion than anything else. Then Howard looks at Daniel and Robert.
Now, what in God's name is going on in here? Who is this guy?
Everyone's looking absolutely dazed. Daniel and Robert look like they're about to answer when suddenly the door opens again and Troy walks in.
Hi there. Have you seen a little brown pill bottle lying around?
Troy stops in his tracks as he sees Peter on the floor.
Jesus Christ, Howard, I told you to lock the fucking door.
You said shut the fucking door.
Robert closes and locks the door. Troy looks shocked.
What's going on?
They all look at him and no one really knows what to say. Interior bathroom. Simon's still in the bathroom. He's taken off most of his clothing by now and is playing around with the various lotions in the bathroom. He pours some lotion into his hands and wipes it over his face. Interior study, day. There's an awkward atmosphere.
Okay, look, very briefly, we've got ourselves into a bit of a situation here. Now, this guy's trying to blackmail us, which, given the circumstance today, I think is in pretty bloody bad taste.
Blackmail you over what?
It's not important right now.
What do you mean it's not important?
It's personal, okay?
Has this got anything to do with the orange peel?
Daniel looks somewhat confused at Howard.
What are you going to do with him?
Everyone realizes they have no answer to this question.
Yes, Robert. What are we going to do with him?
Robert looks like he doesn't have any answers.
Well, I don't know.
You don't know?
Don't shout at me, Daniel. I was just dealing with a very tricky situation. If you just paid him the money.
But what are we going to do? I mean, we can't keep him tied up here forever. How long do you think the Valium is going to last?
His ears prick up.
Valium? Valium?
Yeah, I found a little bottle of Valium. We gave him a few to calm him down.
Howard hands him the bottle. Troy looks very concerned.
Oh, fuck.
What?
Troy beckons them all over to the corner. Peter looks extremely curious to know what they're talking about. Everyone talks very quietly so that Peter can't hear.
What is it?
The thing is, it's not actually Valium. It's a concoction of hallucinogenic substances.
What?
Simon took one of these by mistake. That's why he's been acting like he's off his tits.
God, Troy, what the hell? Stop.
They're for friends.
So hang on a minute. You're telling us that Martha's boyfriend who knocked over our father's coffin had just one of these.
How? And you gave him how many?
Howard looks a bit guilty.
About 5?
Oh, Howard.
Well, I didn't know, did I? You can't blame me for this. I mean, I come in here and you're on the floor with this bloke and he's screaming, and what the hell do you want from me?
Poor bastard.
They all turn and look at Peter, who's looking back at them, increasingly concerned by whatever conversation they're having and the pitying expressions on their faces.
Should call an ambulance.
You can't do that. I'll be screwed.
He's right. They're going to turn up and find things. This guy's been force-fed with hard drugs. It won't look good.
So what then? I mean, what's gonna happen? Is he gonna die?
No, I shouldn't think so.
The moment is broken by someone trying the door, followed by a knock. It wakes them all out of their reverie. Interior corridor. Sandra is standing outside with the Reverend.
Daniel, Robert, are you in there?
Interior study. They all look at each other in panic.
Jesus!
Be out in a minute, Mum.
Interior corridor. Sandra is still outside with the Reverend.
Everyone's wondering where you are.
Interior study. Robert looks at Howard and Troy.
Well, right. God, we have to go outside. You two stay in here and look after him.
Look after him. What the hell are we meant to do?
Oh, I don't know. Just make sure he doesn't escape. Lock the doors behind me. Lock them.
Daniel and Robert open the study door, leaving Howard and Troy looking like they've got no idea what to do. Troy locks the door. Interior corridor. Daniel and Robert come outside, trying to look as normal as possible. They see Sandra standing with the Reverend.
How's it going, Mum?
The Reverend wants to talk with you.
Yes, we were wondering if we might be able to resume the service now. Really, I'm only meant to be here until 3.
Yeah, great. Can you just give us another 5 minutes?
The Reverend doesn't look too pleased.
Sure.
Would you excuse us?
Robert and Daniel kiss their mother and walk off hurriedly towards the kitchen. Interior living room. Justin sits down next to Uncle Alfie, who turns to look at him.
What's your problem?
Women are my problem.
Let me tell you something about women. When I was a young man, I used to go out with the most beautiful woman in the village. I mean, she would walk into the room and everyone's eyes would turn and everyone wanted to fuck her. And of course, she liked the attention because, well, you know how it is.
A beat.
So, anyway, we went to some party one night at the local hall, and there was this man flirting around with her, and I noticed that she was flirting back. You know, they were laughing and joking, so I asked her to come outside with me. I wanted to talk with her. So we went outside, and I gave her the hiding of her life. Let me tell you, she never disrespected me again.
Justin stares blankly at Uncle Alfie.
I need to shit.
Interior mudroom. Daniel and Robert enter and close the door. They speak in hushed tones.
So, any thoughts?
Yeah, I've got a thought. Why didn't you just pay him the fucking money?
Look, don't make out this is my fault. If you had any money rather than spending it all on your shit, then maybe you could have paid him.
If I had the money, then I would have done it.
Yeah, you're so worried about your parents anyway.
What the hell does that mean?
You haven't even bothered about leaving me. You weren't even bothered about leaving me to look after them. Well, you went off gallivanting in New York with your celebrity friends.
You really are unbelievable.
Shut up.
You just can't get over it, can you? That you're burning with jealousy because I got out of here and did what you should have done with your life if you only had the balls for it.
Don't be ridiculous.
Oh, look at you. You spent 3 years on a novel and you don't even let anyone see it. What are you going to do? Wait until you're dead and hope it gets published posthumously?
Rather than be some hack writing pulp crap.
At least my crap gets published.
You're a pompous arsehole, you know that.
Oh, fuck off!
Robert opens the door to leave, and an old man and an old lady, guests at the funeral, stand in the kitchen before them. Robert and Daniel turn on their funeral faces.
Hi. How are you?
Very sad, very sad.
Interior bathroom day. Simon is now completely naked, still with lotion on his face and mumbling nonsense to himself. Then he has an idea and looks over at the window. He opens the window and starts taking in very deep gulps of air. Interior upstairs corridor. Martha is still sitting outside the bathroom, not knowing what to do. Justin comes up again to talk to her. Martha's completely drained and stressed.
What do you want, Justin?
I just want to talk to you.
Look, please don't make us go through this again. It's the same thing every time I see you.
Well, what is it about this guy? What has he got that I haven't?
Okay, well, one thing, he's responsible, he's intelligent, he's thoughtful, he's stable. Is that enough for you?
Exterior roof. Simon is climbing out of the bathroom window onto the roof ledge, completely naked with lotion on his face. Interior study. Howard and Troy are sitting in the study. Howard is flicking through an encyclopedia he's found. He's looking at the discoloration on his arm and comparing it with the picture in the book. Peter is on the floor, tied up, breathing heavily and making gurgling sounds.
Can't believe you gave him 5.
Howard looks at Troy, incredulous.
Excuse me, are you trying to say this was my fault? Weren't you the one that made them and then put them in the Valium bottle?
Even if they were Valium, you shouldn't have given 5. Don't you know anything?
Suddenly there's a knock on the door. Howard and Troy both look absolutely terrified.
Hello?
Neither Howard nor Troy want to speak. They argue and gestures about who should speak. Finally, Troy relents.
Hello?
Interior corridor. Uncle Alfie is outside the study, banging the door with his cane.
I need the toilet.
Interior study. Troy and Howard both look panicked.
Can't you use the one upstairs?
I'm in a wheelchair, you fucking idiot. How am I supposed to get up the stairs?
Howard and Troy look at each other, not knowing what to say.
Open the door!
Uncle Alfie starts banging on the door with his cane. Howard turns to Troy.
What are we gonna do?
They look at Peter, who's starting to look high as a kite.
We'll stick him behind the couch.
Troy and Howard pull Peter behind the couch. Troy stays with him and tries to muffle any sounds that Peter might make while Howard goes to open the door.
Hello?
What the hell is wrong with you people? I'm about to shit my trousers.
Interior living room. Daniel and Robert are coming out of the kitchen corridor. Jane sees them and comes over to find out what's going on.
Daniel, what's going on? Have you given this guy the money?
Not exactly.
Daniel refused, so we're going to be completely fucked.
Oh, shut up.
What happened?
The guy started slagging off his novel, so he refused to pay.
Hacking off your novel.
Dan looks confused.
Oh, you let him read your novel.
Interior study bathroom. Howard is helping Uncle Alfie onto the toilet. He's pulled down Alfie's trousers, but he's having a hard time getting him from the chair to the toilet.
Hurry up, I tell you.
Howard is struggling to hold Alfie up. He has one hand under his arm and the other is sort of grasping at his bare behind. Uncle Alfie sits down the toilet, trapping Howard's hand underneath. Howard is stuck.
You've just got to... Troy, do you think you could come give me a hand in here?
Interior study. Troy is keeping watch over Peter, who's looking increasingly strange and is making some worrying facial expressions.
I'm not sure I should.
Troy!
Troy jumps up and goes to the bathroom to see what's going on. Interior study bathroom. Troy opens the door and peers in and looks absolutely appalled. Uncle Alfie is sitting on the toilet on top of Howard's arm.
Jesus Christ, Howard!
Help me.
Get your bloody hand out!
Troy enters the bathroom and tries to help pull Howard's hand out. Interior study. With Troy and Howard out of the room, Peter, his hands still tied, struggles to get to his feet. Interior study bathroom. Troy manages to lift Howard's arm out from under Uncle Alfie, but there's some shit on his hand.
Oh, no.
Howard, panicking, rushes to the sink and runs the tap. It comes on full blast, causing a splash.
Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh.
Troy looks at Howard and stares.
Howard!
What?
You've,
What? What is it?
You've got some of it on your face.
What?
Howard looks in the mirror.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
You two get out of here.
Interior study day. Peter is now up on his feet and running around the study like a rabid animal. He jumps up on the sofa and loses his balance and lands into the coffee table head first. He cracks his head on the corner and goes straight down. He lies on the floor, absolutely motionless. Interior study bathroom. Howard is leaning over the sink.
Oh, I'm gonna be sick.
I heard something.
Howard wipes his face with a towel, then they exit the bathroom, leaving Uncle Alfie in there and shut the door. Interior study. They enter back into the study and see Peter lying on the floor motionless, blood by his head.
Oh, fuck.
They approach him and Troy bends down and feels for a pulse. He looks up at Howard with an expression that tells us all we need to know. Interior living room. Daniel, Robert, and Jane are standing talking about what's been happening.
Look, I have a right to know what's going on, Daniel.
I know you do. I'll explain everything, but just let me deal with this now.
The door of the study opens and Howard looks around before he walks through, a maniacal false grin planted on his face, which the Mourners find strange, especially as he's pouring with sweat. Howard arrives at where Daniel is still arguing with Robert and Jane. They all notice the strange, nervous grin plastered on Howard's face. Daniel takes a step towards Howard.
Howard, what the hell are you grinning at?
Could I just ask you to pop into the study for a second?
Daniel can see from Howard's face and the sweat on his forehead that something serious has happened.
Honey, I need you to look after things out here, okay?
Jane realizes that Daniel is being serious.
Okay.
Howard returns to the study, followed by Daniel and Robert. Jane watches them go, not really sure what's going on. Interior study. Daniel, Howard, and Robert head back into the study where Troy is sitting with his head in his hands and Peter's body lies on the floor. Howard locks the door behind them. Daniel and Robert look at the body in shock.
Oh, Christ. Call an ambulance.
There's no point.
What do you mean there's no point?
Look at him. He's stone dead.
Oh, good God, what the hell did you do to him?
He didn't do anything.
Hit his head on the corner.
Robert looks at them, disbelieving.
He hit his head on the corner?
Yes, that's what happened. What the hell do you think happened?
Oh, no, this is really bad. No, this is really, really bad.
Daniel slumps down into a chair, thoroughly depressed.
So, what is this then? Is it murder? Suicide? Manslaughter? I mean, how does this work?
Maybe it's death by misadventure.
Death by misadventure. Yeah, of course. Police are gonna find this body pumped full of hallucinogenic drugs with cord marks around his wrists. Call it death by misadventure.
What are we going to do?
Everyone thinks. Howard looks at his watch.
Do you know what? I actually really have to get going.
Howard starts making his way to the door. Robert stops him.
Oh, you're not going anywhere.
Look, I cannot go to prison, okay? Do you have any idea what they do to people like me in prison?
We're in this together, Howard. Now just calm down.
Robert takes a moment before speaking.
Now, no one here knows who this guy is, right? As far as they're concerned, he's a stranger who turned up at the funeral and left sometime later. Nobody even knows his name, so we'll just get rid of the body and it'll be like he was never here.
Get rid of the body?
That's right, we'll just get rid of the body.
What the hell do any of us know about getting rid of a body? What are we going to do with him? Put him out with the rubbish?
Did any of you happen to notice the size of Uncle Sidney's coffin?
Everyone looks at Troy.
I want to bury him with my father.
Why not? I mean, it's not like he's going to know, is it?
That's not the point.
You have to admit, it makes some sense, Daniel. The coffin's there, the hole in the ground's there. He'll be gone, finished. End of story. Unless you've got a better suggestion.
Daniel turns and looks at the wall, desperately trying to think of an alternative. Finally, he turns around.
How are we going to get him out there?
Exterior roof. Simon stands on the ledge next to the windows, looking over the world, having a thoroughly wonderful time. Interior upstairs corridor. Justin is talking to Martha. They're sitting in the corridor. Martha looks drained of energy. Justin's smoking a cigarette.
It's funny, you know, no matter how many times you told me that things were over, I was always convinced that we'll end up back together.
Yeah, well, we all make mistakes. I was convinced I was going to be a world-famous ballet dancer. What happened there?
You still could be.
Don't be an idiot.
I'm serious. You only live once. You might as well do whatever it is that fires you up the most.
Yes, but maybe I don't think of life anymore just as being about me, me, me. Maybe I've discovered there's something outside of myself that I care about. And maybe you should too.
Justin looks defensive.
That's a bit harsh. I care about you.
No, Justin, you care about you, and you care about me in relation to how I affect you. There's a difference.
That's not true, Martha. I love you.
Justin instinctively grabs Martha and lunges into a kiss. As he does, he sees out of the corner of his eye the shocking sight of Simon completely naked, crouching by the window.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Martha makes eye contact with Simon. He looks distraught before disappearing from the window.
Oh, shit.
Martha stands up.
Simon!
Simon disappears from the window.
Simon!
Exterior roof. Simon is still on the ledge, but pacing around, not knowing what to do with himself. Exterior ledge. Martha opens the window. She leans over and is shocked to see Simon on the ledge.
Simon, what the hell are you doing? Get back in here and put your clothes on this instant.
I saw you kissing him.
I wasn't kissing him.
I'll jump. I'll jump right now.
Justin pokes his head through the same window as Martha to see what's going on.
Justin, will you get the fuck out of here?
Justin does as he's told. Interior upstairs corridor. Justin lingers in the upstairs corridor for a moment, not sure what to do. Then he sprints off downstairs. Exterior ledge.
Look, Simon, calm down, please.
Interior study. Robert, Daniel, Troy, and Howard are still in the study, standing over the body, trying to work out what to do.
There's just no way we can do it. It's impossible.
Suddenly there's a knock on the door. Everyone freezes.
Daniel, it's Justin. Let me in.
Everyone freezes. Interior corridor, day. Justin knocks again, louder. Interior study. Everyone looks panicked.
Shit, quick! Stick him in the bathroom!
Everyone enters in a panic. Daniel opens the bathroom door, and Robert, Howard, and Troy pull the body into the bathroom. Interior study bathroom. It's not until they get in there that they see Uncle Alfie still sitting on the toilet. Uncle Alfie looks up to see them all burst in carrying Peter's body. Their faces all show their panic. Alfie stares in shock horror. They immediately leave the bathroom with the body and shut the door after him. Interior study. We can hear muffled shouting coming from Alfie from behind the bathroom door.
Jesus Christ, Howard! What's Uncle Alfie doing on the toilet?
I forgot.
How could you forget? What the hell is wrong with you?
Well, we had more pressing matters to deal with, like this dead man on the floor here.
Another loud bang on the door.
Daniel, open the bloody door.
Interior study / corridor. Daniel opens the door an inch.
It's Simon. He's totally fucking lost it.
Justin realizes that something weird's going on.
What's going on?
Nothing.
Justin puts aside his curiosity for the time being.
Look, Simon's on the roof, totally starkers. He saw me kissing Martha, and now he's starting to jump.
Oh, Christ.
Troy rushes to the door.
Where are you going?
I have to go out there. If he jumps, I'm fucked.
Wait here.
Troy rushes out, followed by Daniel. They head to the garden along with Justin. Exterior back garden. Everyone is looking up at the naked man standing on the edge of the roof. A man turns to Victor, whose attention has been caught.
That naked man on the roof.
Victor looks up agog.
That's my daughter's fiancé.
Martha's head can be seen hanging out the bedroom window. Interior living room. Troy and Justin rush out the back door into the garden. Daniel stops as he realizes the living room is completely empty, bar the coffin. He exits exterior back garden. Exterior back garden. Daniel takes a few steps out and sees that the whole congregation are outside and Simon is on the roof. He heads back inside. Exterior roof. Simon is standing perilously near the edge of the roof.
Simon, why don't you come back inside and we'll talk about it in there?
No.
Fine, then just come away from the edge.
No, I shan't.
Right, well then I'm coming out.
From down below, the mourners are stunned by what they see. Interior study. Daniel rushes back inside, panting, where Robert and Howard are still standing with the body.
What's happening?
Everyone's on the garden. We've got to move the body now.
Brilliant.
Exterior garden. Sandra is out in the garden, also looking up at the roof along with Jane. Martha is now climbing out from the window onto the roof. The whole thing looks very precarious. Everyone's watching this scene of Simon and Martha balancing on the roof. Martha holds out her hand to Simon.
Martha, what the hell are you doing? Get down from there.
Interior corridor. Daniel and Robert come out of the study carrying Peter with Howard behind them.
Okay, wait here. Make sure no one comes in.
Howard nods. As Daniel and Robert disappear into the living room, Howard is horrified to see the Reverend coming through the front door, walking towards the living room entrance.
Aye.
The Reverend looks around, not knowing why Howard is being so especially friendly towards him. Interior living room. Robert and Daniel hurry across the living room carrying Peter. They get to the coffin and Robert opens it up. There's an intense moment as they look down at their father in the coffin. They both stop for a moment, speechless. Interior corridor. Howard is standing, blocking the Reverend, searching his mind for conversation.
So, God, eh? He's a funny one, isn't he?
Excuse me.
Interior living room. Robin and Daniel are still staring at the body.
Daniel, we have to do this.
Daniel looks up at Robert and nods his assent. Robert and Daniel lift up Peter and try their best to put him in the coffin, facing up on top of their father. Daniel looks at it and decides that it's just wrong.
I'll leave it like that.
We don't have time.
They try another possibility, turning the body in a different direction. Daniel shakes his head. Exterior roof. Martha edges towards Simon, concentrating hard to maintain her balance. Simon is starting to get cold.
Right. Listen to me, Simon. If you don't come away from the edge of that roof, I'm going to be extremely upset.
Good.
Simon, please don't do this. I love you.
Then why were you with him?
I wasn't with him.
Yes, you were. I saw you.
Interior corridor. Howard is doing his best to keep the Reverend at bay.
So, how did you get into the whole religion lark?
Look, I'm sorry. I really need to get home.
I'd like to make a confession.
The Reverend looks at Howard.
I have thoughts. Dirty thoughts.
Interior living room. Daniel and Robert are still struggling to squeeze Peter into the coffin.
You know, in a strange way, maybe this is what Dad would have wanted.
For God's sakes, Robert. Can you not take anything seriously?
Why do you say I don't take anything seriously?
I'll tell you why. Because you disappear halfway across the world without hardly ever coming back to see your parents. Because you spend your last remaining money on a first-class plane ticket than you knew was supposed to give me half of the funeral. Because you ride through life like you're a fairground ride. And because you've never, ever given a shit about anyone except yourself.
Robert looks miffed. Daniel gets back to trying to fit Peter in the coffin. Exterior roof. Simon is stepping away from Martha. The crowd are getting increasingly anxious.
I'll never be good enough. Not for your dad, not for you. I'll never be rich enough. I'll never be cool enough.
Simon, please stop talking like this nonsense and just come inside. I'm going to have a baby.
Simon looks at her, shocked.
What?
I'm pregnant. We're going to have a child together.
You're pregnant?
Simon is overcome with emotion. She holds out her hand to him.
I won't be able to do it without you.
Very slowly, he walks towards her and enters her embrace. General approval noises come from the crowd.
Jesus.
Victor angrily heads inside. Interior living room. Finally, Robin and Daniel swivel the body around so that Peter is also facing upward, tops and tails to their father. It seems to work best. They both look down at their father one last time. Daniel takes a moment to touch his father's hand.
Hi, Dad.
Finally, they shut the coffin a moment before Victor enters the living room through the conservatory back door. Robin and Daniel try to look as innocent as possible. Interior corridor. Howard is still talking to the Reverend, who's looking like he really doesn't want to be there.
I mean, 3, maybe 4 times a night sometimes.
Howard sees out of the corner of his eye that the coffin is shut. His job is done.
So, anyway, thanks for that. I feel much better.
Howard walks into the living room, leaving the Reverend looking miffed. Interior upstairs corridor / bathroom. Victor arrives up the stairs to see Martha with Simon, wrapping a blanket around him. Victor walks up to her.
Thank God you're safe. You idiot! What the hell were you thinking?
Look, Dad.
Please, Martha, tell me you're not going to marry this man.
No, Dad, I won't. This is my life, and this is my choice. And I'm sorry if you don't like it, but that's just tough. And I'll tell you something else. You really need to sort out your attitude unless you want to end up a very lonely, bitter old man.
Martha heads off with Simon, leaving Victor thoroughly told off. Interior living room buffet. Howard, Daniel, and Robert are standing in the living room, looking utterly exhausted. The rest of the guests are trawling back in from the garden. Daniel sees Sandra and walks towards her, leaving Robert with Howard.
Well, that was a close one. I thought we weren't going to get away with that one for a minute.
Get away with it. We've just killed someone. We've committed a mortal sin.
Right. Well, strictly speaking, we didn't kill him. And also, he really wasn't a nice guy, so the world's probably a better place without him.
Robert pats Howard on the back, then heads off, leaving Howard looking thoughtful. Exterior living room. Daniel arrives where Sandra is standing.
How you doing, Mum?
Better now that that boy's safely off the roof. I think there's been enough death in this house for one day.
Yeah.
Pete.
Have you seen Uncle Alfie? He seems to have disappeared.
Daniel suddenly remembers where he is.
Oh, shit.
Interior living room. Howard is standing looking extremely thoughtful. An old lady comes up and stands near him.
What's it all about, eh? I mean, we find ourselves on this random planet in the middle of infinite space. We live for a few years searching desperately for some kind of meaning in our futile existence. And then in the end, we die of horrible diseases and get eaten by maggots and rats. I mean, what's the bloody point?
Interior study. Daniel and Robert enter the study and head towards the closed bathroom door. Daniel takes a deep breath and goes to open the bathroom door. Uncle Alfie is sitting on the toilet.
What the hell is going on in this place?
I'm so sorry, Uncle Alfie, that there was a whole business going on outside.
Never mind that. What about that dead body you dragged in here?
Daniel and Robert feign ignorance.
What dead body?
Don't fuck with me. I saw a dead body. Now get me the hell off this fucking toilet.
Interior living room. Martha enters the room with Simon, now dressed again, but still looking a bit wired. Justin walks over and joins Howard.
Did you hear that? She's having a kid. I've never have done anything if I'd known she was having a kid.
I thought you were hopelessly in love with her.
Yeah, but can you imagine me bringing up a kid?
No.
Exactly.
Justin looks at Howard, who's looking sort of distant.
How's your pigment mutation thing?
Of that, it's probably nothing.
Justin's taken aback by Howard's uncharacteristic attitude.
I'm more worried about having told the priest I'm a wank addict.
Justin looks at him quizzically. Angle on Robert, who's wheeling Uncle Alfie into the room.
I'm telling you, I saw the guy. He was dead.
I know you did, Alfie. We all did.
No, in the bathroom.
Robert offers a look to the other mourners, indicating that Uncle Alfie's a bit mad and shouldn't be listened to. Angle on Jane comes over to Daniel.
Okay, listen, I've been thinking about it, and if you want to stay here with your mom a bit longer, I'll do it. But 6 months, and then we're gone.
Daniel is touched by the sentiment, pulls her into embrace.
Thank you.
They pull away.
I don't know how I'm going to do this bloody eulogy now, but what with everything I've just found out.
A beat.
He was still your dad.
Daniel nods. Reverend approaches Daniel, looking at his watch and appearing flustered.
Right, we're really gonna have to whiz through this now.
Sure, let's go.
So, do you want the casket open for the people to have a final look at the deceased, or
No.
The Reverend looks shocked at Daniel's overreaction, but ignores it and stands up at the front and speaks at high speed.
Well, I'd like to apologize on behalf of the family for all the distractions. I hope that everyone is settled in and ready to continue with the service. And Daniel would like to say a few words about his father. Here we go. Come on.
Everyone takes their seats. Robert manages to squeeze in next to Katie. Jane gives Daniel an encouraging look as he makes his way to the front. The entire congregation has settled and are staring up at Daniel attentively. Daniel clears his throat and prepares to begin. The room is absolutely silent. He takes a deep breath and begins.
My father was exceptional.
Everyone looks to the front as suddenly a loud banging emanates from the coffin. Everyone stares at it in stunned silence. Daniel looks like a deer caught in headlights. He looks at Robert, who gestures to him to continue. He nervously struggles on.
My father was an exceptional man.
Everyone stares at the coffin in awe. Daniel bravely continues.
Not only did he live for his family, but he was always there for others.
Bang, bang.
What the hell is going on?
There's someone in there. I knew it!
Suddenly, the coffin lid flips off, and everyone stares in wonder as Peter sits up, looking like the most fucked up person in the world and babbling incoherently. Several people scream. Everyone looks completely stunned.
What the hell are you doing in my dad's coffin?
Peter babbles incoherent nonsense.
So, Jesus, Howard, give me a hand here.
Howard steps forward with Troy.
You said he was dead.
Well, I guess I was wrong.
Robert, Howard, Troy, and a couple of others try to lift Peter out of the coffin, but he's holding on to the corpse. No, no! As they finally pull him out, the various photographs fall to the floor right in front of where Sandra's sitting. Howard and Troy manage to pull Peter off to one side. Sandra bends down and picks up one of the photographs and stares at it. Her face turns to horror as she makes out the image. The rancor in the room is broken by Sandra's howling cry. Victor comes over and takes the photo from Sandra's hand.
Oh my good God.
Everyone stops what they're doing and looks back at Victor and Sandra in silence. Sandra looks shell-shocked. Everything looks like it's going to descend into total chaos until Daniel finally shouts across the room.
My father was an exceptional man.
Everyone, including Peter, looks at Daniel stunned. There's a long silence.
He may have not have been the perfect man, may not have been the perfect man, but he was a good man. And he loved us. And all I wanted to do today was give him a dignified send-off, to give him the respect that he deserved. Is that really so much to ask?
The mourners look up at Daniel with undivided attention.
So maybe he had some things he liked to do. Life isn't simple. It's complicated. We're just thrown here together in a world filled with chaos and confusion, a world full of questions with no answers, with death always lingering around the corner. And we do our best, but damn it, we can only do our best. Dad did his best.
Daniel looks over at the coffin. We see that Peter is moved by the speech.
He always tried to teach me that you have to go for what you want in life, because you never know how long you're going to be here, and whether you succeed or you fail. The important thing is to have tried. But a parent can only guide you in the right direction. In the end, you have to learn for yourself. You have to grow up yourself.
Hey, Jane looks up at her husband with pride. We see the various other mourners looking at Daniel and listening.
So when you all leave here today, I want you to remember Dad for who he really was. A decent, loving man who never judged others for their flaws, who never condemned anyone for how they chose to live their own lives, who never cast aspirations or held prejudices or looked down his nose at others. Only we could all be as giving and as generous and as understanding as my father was. And the world would be a far better place.
Daniel turns and walks out of the room. Everyone watches him go. Fade out. Fade in. Interior living room later, evening. Daniel is sitting on one of the chairs looking drained. Robert comes in looking like he's had some time to recover. He walks over and takes a seat next to his brother.
How's Mom doing?
She'll survive. And on the positive side, she now knows why Dad didn't want to have sex for the last 20-odd years.
A beat.
I'm going to take her to New York with me. She'll be better off there for a while, I think. Give you and Jane a chance to breathe a bit, you know? Get your house and everything.
Daniel looks at Robert, surprised.
That was a pretty good speech you gave there, by the way. It was really impressive.
Thanks.
Silent pause. Robert looks slightly awkward. Daniel shifts in his seat.
Maybe when we've got some time, you wouldn't mind taking a look at my novel.
A beat.
I'd love to.
There's a moment between them. They both smile. It looks like they might almost go in for a hug when Jane enters the room and breaks up the moment.
Hey, how you feeling?
Exhausted. Uncle Alfie's in a white state. Keeps going on about a dead body in the bathroom. I think it's best if he stays here tonight.
Do you think you'll be okay?
Yeah, he'll be alright. I gave him a couple of Valiums and put him to bed. That should keep him quiet for a little while.
Jane exits the room. Daniel and Robert look at each other. Cut to black. The end.
Shit!
Good job, everybody. We will see y'all at the next one.